Happy Monday. I hope that you're having a great start to your week. And y'all, I am truly so excited for the conversation I'm about to dive into. One of the things that we've been talking about just on the back end with our team is just the conversations we're having on this podcast. They've been so powerful and so amazing. And one thing we've really tried to do on Mondays is just highlight amazing stories from people who are actually in our life that we learn from, that we love. And these two people are absolutely incredible. Their story is amazing. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. And you've probably actually seen them on our Instagram. All of a sudden, we had this new family member, Luis, show up, and then his wife, Brittany, and AJ. And it's like, AJ's just one of the cousins. I bet people are like, wait a second, what? So we're going to formally introduce you to Luis and Brittany. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. It's such an honor to be here.
Is this y'all's first podcast?
It is.
Okay, love that. This is the joy of Mondays, is that most people, it is their first podcast. And it's like, there's literally no pressure. That's what I said in the prayer. I was like, the amazing thing about your life is you do not have to strive for the words. You do not have to strive to like act like you're anything other than you are, who you are, and what your story is and what God has done in your life. If you even said it in a monotone way, it would still be so empowering and powerful. So, which I know you're not, because y'all are both so fun and expressive.
Thank you.
But let's tell the people. So, Luis, tell everybody how you and I met.
Well, we met a long time ago. I remember we were like
11.
I was 10 or something like that, and you were 10 too, or 9. Yeah. And we met in the Dominican Republic, and I grew up in an orphanage, and your family has been part of that place for a long time. Mm-hmm. You and your family have been the ones who treated us like family all along, and and we just became family, and it's been like that for many years until now. Yeah,
it really is crazy. I guess probably 15 years when we first went to Dominican. And I remember, so Luis is probably going to make fun of me on this podcast because I still don't know Spanish, which I will admit is pretty ridiculous. But the one thing I do remember everyone saying in the orphanage is, Sadie es loco.
La loca. Sadie la loca.
Y'all always thought I was crazy.
And we still say that because you just came into our house and you just acted like you just don't care. And we enjoyed seeing you every year because you would do these crazy things for us, and we would laugh. We would play basketball together. And it was fun growing up and seeing you every year and your family, and just growing up like siblings, you know, truly. And until now we still have the same affection and love. Yeah.
Well, I remember, you see, when you can't speak the language, you have to overcompensate in other things. Yeah. So I think I was extra crazy. I already am a little bit,
you are.
A little crazy in English and in my American life. But then in Dominican, it was I had this extra persona because I was I can't speak their language, so I have to be more expressive with my face and more expressive with my
hands.
dancing. Yeah. All the hands and basketball and this and that. We danced all the time. And I just think that actually created a really special bond with everyone.
And of course.
I remember even at the end, before we were leaving, we'd always cry every time so much. Every year when we'd leave, we would sing love one another, and we would always sing songs about love and talk about how, it really is so powerful. And you know this, and Brittany, we're about to get to your story in a minute, but just how love is such a universal language, showing up and being present, even if you can't speak the language, and playing basketball or doing silly dances or not caring what you look like and just being yourself. And that's what created that sibling bond for all of us. And even, I don't know if you remember this, but my parents, I went with two mama just about every year. And then there was one year that I really wanted to be with you guys at Christmas. And so
I remember that one.
Oh, yes.
It was so fun.
Oh, it was so fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, those Christmas gifts.
Just good memories.
Yeah.
Really great memories. And so, you grew up in the children's home. And I know, we had two people here. Y'all are married and incredible, and I'm just going to skip to the end for a second and let y'all know these two people have the cutest kid. But I want to sit on this for a moment because the way you talk about the children's home is so interesting to me, because you just don't hear people like yourself talk about it in the way that you do. So can you kind of speak to it, and just in all honesty, like what it was like growing up in a children's home?
For me, it was a blessing growing up in this orphanage. It was something special, and still that place still very special to me. I still remember when my father brought me to this place, me and my youngest brother. And my youngest brother, he didn't take it that well, but I was fine with it. I mean, I saw the reality of our situation back then. And growing up, I just realized that those people were my family, you know. And I remember in high school, people would ask me, hey, how do you feel growing up in an orphanage and not having your parents with you? And I always said, it's the biggest blessing I've ever had, you know, because, yes, I didn't have my parents with me, but I had the opportunity to have more than two parents, you know, people that took care of me. I grew up with 18 siblings. Like, that's fun, you know? And I always saw the big picture of the situation. If I'm here, it's because it's for a reason, you know? And, and I remember growing up in this place, we got to meet you and your family, and you guys brought joy to our hearts, you know? You weren't the typical sponsors that say, all right, you were just going to send money down there and take care of these kids. You showed up every year, you know, and for us, that meant a lot because we got used to your presence every year, and we were like, all right, let's get ready for the summer. The family's coming again, and we need to get ready for all the energy they're bringing in, you know? But it was fun, and that place is still, I call it my home, you know? When I think about my parents, I think about those people that raised me. When I think about my siblings, I think about 18 kids that I grew up with. And now being here in America, I just feel that I want to give that to AJ too, you know? Give him the opportunity to grow up with his parents and have a family around, you know.
Yeah, a big family.
Yeah, a big family. You got a lot of cousins.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
He's getting used to the cousin life, and
he's loving it.
Yeah, him and Honey are so cute together. It is so funny seeing their little personalities and their little minds working fast with what they're gonna do and how they're gonna act together. It's just so cute. He's definitely jumped right in. I think the hardest transition was AJ becoming another grandkid because of the attention that he was stealing from KK, my mom. All the other cousins were like, wait a second, because AJ definitely gets the attention. He is so cute, and my mom adores him, and he adores Mom. It's so sweet to see how fast they connected, though. Yeah. Like, we are family. We've grown up together. We met you, and it was so natural. But then to see AJ and how natural he is with my parents and with the cousins, like, he just fit right in. It's, like, so beautiful. But I want to touch on something you said, because we were telling you this, and you were surprised by this when I was saying that, you know, we actually online would get, like, hate, you know, for going down to the DR and doing the mission trips that we would do. And I say mission trips in quotes because I don't really like to necessarily call them that, because it's not really what it is. It's like we're going to visit people who we have a real relationship with. And while we're there, do we fix things? Yes. Do we help in whatever way? Yes. But, like, it was a relationship trip, like, more so, like,
the mission was
going
love.
to see y'all, like, to hang out and to be with y'all. And yes, we did Bible studies and, like, VBS, the camps and all the things. It was so fun. But it was interesting for you to hear. I was like, we would get hate because people would say, like, you know, you should just send money. Like, it's hurtful to go and to form relationships that then you leave and all of that. But it was really cool to hear you say, like, no, that was not hurtful. That was so helpful to see y'all continue to grow up, like, to see us continue to show up and our relationship continue to grow. And you're the only one here now, but you're not the only one that we still have relationship with in the DR, which is really special. And now with social media, we get to keep up with everyone. And so I want to ask you, because before, when we were young, like we weren't, I don't want to say like famous because it feels weird to say that we're famous now, but we didn't have like Duck Dynasty, we didn't have a following. Did y'all know like what was going on in our life? I don't know about you, but grocery shopping can just feel like one more thing to do, especially with kids. It's hard to, when you have more than one, keep them in the buggy, keep them beside you, and do the whole thing. Well, Hungry Root makes sticking to your health goals and grocery shopping so easy by sending you fresh, quality groceries and simple meal ideas. By taking a short, fun quiz, you let Hungry Root get to know your goals, tastes, and preferences. They'll even build a personalized cart with all of your weekly grocery needs and give suggestions on how to put those groceries to good use. Every order is fully customizable, so you can take Hungry Root's suggestion or you can choose anything you like. You can choose from fresh produce, quality meats, seafoods, smoothies, healthy snacks, and even kid snacks too. Hungry Root has got you covered with whatever you and your family eat. Plus, everything from Hungry Root follows a simple standard. It has to taste good, be quick to make, and contain whole, trusted ingredients. When Christian and I first did our Hungry Root quiz, it was really fun because there was all kinds of different things that we saw that we had never tried before, and things that we just typically wouldn't buy in our grocery order that we started buying because Hungry Root introduced it to us. We love it. There's also so many just like fun dessert snacks that Christian loves from Hungry Root, so they have everything across the board. Right now, Hungry Root is offering Whoa, That's Good podcast listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/whoa to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/whoa, and don't forget to use our link so that they know we sent you there.
We didn't have an idea who y'all were. We were like, okay, these are the people that always show up and they always come and play with us, bring us to the ice cream store, but we didn't have an idea who you were. I think it was like, I was started to get it. I was like, there's something I just don't, it doesn't feel right with me. So I remember once I went to the grocery store with Corey, with your mom, and I saw someone wearing a Duck Dynasty shirt.
No way. I've literally never asked you this, so I've never heard this story.
When I saw the shirt, I was like, that face is so familiar. And I remember seeing a picture of Willie in your mom's phone and all that, and like your mom showing us the family and all, and I was like, hold on, who is that? And your mom tried to oh yeah, famous in America, and we were like, okay, that doesn't mean we're gonna treat you different, so okay, let's go again. And it was fun, we didn't care at all. We were like, all right, these are our family, and we just were fine with it. But then I remember the first time y'all show us a clip of the whole Duck Dynasty.
I remember that.
You remember that?
I remember that, yes. And it was in Spanish.
It was in Spanish.
So funny. Yes.
Yeah, and we were laughing so hard. We were like, no way that you are on TV. I remember one of the kids was wondering, like, well, wait, if you speak Spanish here in this video,
like, you speak Spanish? Like, you hiding out on it?
Yeah, like, why you haven't spoke Spanish all this time?
That's so funny.
And we had to explain the whole situation about translation and all that. But, yeah, we were... After that, the relationship kept going, and y'all didn't...
Yeah.
That stage of famous and so much attention didn't threw you away from coming to the Dominican Republic and seeing us every year, And
I didn't even... what's cool for me is, this is the first time I've ever even asked you that, which is funny because I really didn't know where that was going to go. But I never felt it shift. And that's why I was like, when did you find out? How did you find out?
Yeah.
Because of all the years we went and our life was changing, I remember I came right after Dance with the Stars, and I never said that to any of y'all. Y'all didn't know. Maybe you did. We never talked about it. No one was like, you were on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Like, we just didn't talk about that. And I just remember thinking, like, they don't know. Cool. But then I was like, some of y'all started getting social media, so I knew y'all had to know. But what was amazing to me is y'all didn't treat me any differently. And I found after Days with the Stars, I wanted to go even more, which is why one of the reasons I went for Christmas, because I felt so myself there. I felt so at home and with family and with siblings, like people who didn't. It really actually kind of makes me teary because I've never even really expressed this. It was a safe place for me, you know, and I just remember, I think I desired to be there even more after I felt like more people knew me here. Yeah. I just wanted to be there, you know. But you know what's really cool, actually, just like full circle moment, when I was leaving the DR from the Christmas visit, me and my friend, do you remember Sterling?
I do.
Okay, so me and Sterling were flying back, and Sterling's parents just moved to Destin, Florida, and so she went to the Destin terminal for the first time, and she was like, I can't believe my parents moved, like from where she lived in high school, and I went to the Monroe terminal in the airport, so we both split up, coming back from Dominican, and it was in the airport that day that 2 cute boys from Destin, Florida went up to her and were like, are you Sterling from Sadie Rob's Instagram? And that boy was Christian Huff. And that is where Sterling met Christian. And then I didn't meet him that day in the airport. I didn't know anything about Christian, but that's who Sterling connected with. And so that's how I got to know Christian, was through Sterling meeting her in the airport coming back from the DR, and I didn't meet him until 3 years later. Isn't that cool?
That's crazy.
I didn't know that. But I never shared that, but it was just like kind of just a cool coincidence.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we have so much to unpack with this story, but let's get to Brittany. So how did you find yourself to the DR? Because you are not from the DR.
I am not from the DR. So I'm actually originally from Maine, and I grew up just like going to church sometimes with my grandma, and as my life progressed, I really was not for church, not for God. I was very science-based and didn't want any part of it. But as I got older, I found myself more and more visiting a church. And I got involved.
What stirred your heart more towards church?
Just some of the people that were in my life at the time had invited me. I really wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't in the market to make any changes in my life.
I love that phrasing. I was not in the market.
I was not in the market for this. No. So I ended up just like attending this church, which was like, all right, I'll do it to see some of the people that I'm friends with outside of church a little bit more. And, I was taking classes online and working full time, and some of the classes that I was taking were with the youth pastor of the church that I was attending. So we knew each other from class and from around. And he had approached me one day and just said, hey, I had this woman back out. She was supposed to chaperone this mission trip to the DR. Is there any chance you'd be interested in that? And I said, well, how much does it cost? And he told me, and I said, this is the cheapest Caribbean vacation I will ever take. And I don't mind teenagers, so I was like, let's do it. So I signed up to go on this mission trip. I'm not a believer. I'm not any part of the church. I just go there sometimes on Sunday. So they invited me along, and I went on my first mission trip in 2011, and I actually had an encounter with God on that trip.
Wow.
That was July of 2011, and I got baptized in August of 2011.
Wow. I just love it. I love that you weren't looking for it. You weren't even like in the church. It wasn't like, oh, I'm all in the church, I'm going on the mission trip. It's like, ooh, Dominican Republic, that's a vacay destination. I'll join. So you get down there, and then you come back, you get baptized. When did you actually move to the DR?
So I had, in 2011, a real heart connection with the country, with the people there, and just really felt, like you said, like it's my home. It's a safe place. It's where I feel my best.
Yeah.
So after that first trip, I was going on every single trip the church sent. I was using all of my vacation time, all of my spending money, like to go on these trips. So I went on about 8 trips. And at that point I said, you know, I really want to be here longer. And I tried to organize my life in a way that I could move there.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out from time to time. And I ended up really moving there in 2017.
Okay,
for the first time.
6 years. So in those 8 times you went, did y'all know each other?
No. So the first 8 times we did not know each other.
Wow.
But then I went a few more times before moving there.
Wow.
And we met on, I think it was my 12th trip. we met.
Okay, so when y'all met, was it like love at first sight? Or how did y'all get to know each other?
It was not love at first sight.
No, I wouldn't say that either.
But for me, I just felt comfortable being around her, like every time I would talk to her, it would be easy talking to her, and we spent the whole week working for the church and translating, going different places, building, and it was easy talking to her, and after they were supposed to leave, and all that, I went and say bye and all that. It was difficult for me. I felt like a part of me just left.
After 7 days.
Yeah. When you feel like that, when you feel just
so real.
You feel comfortable with someone, and it's just like after 10 minutes away, you just miss each other, you know?
Yeah.
But after that, we just kept talking, FaceTiming, and the whole story.
And this is before, so you were still living in Maine when y'all start FaceTiming?
Yeah.
So that's like long distance to the next level.
Yeah.
You're in a different country.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Different country. The time changes half the year. And at the time, like, he speaks great English, but at the time, it was still in development. And so
it was in the development phase, which I have to say is so impressive, Luis, like where you're at, because you worked really hard. How did you learn how to speak English?
Well, you and your family, you were the ones that helped me get there. Every time you all came down to the Dominican Republic, I was like, why are they speaking a different language than me? I mean, I was curious about that, and I was like, look, this place, this orphanage, don't provide me with the resources for me to go to an English institute and all that. So I decided to learn English by myself.
And actually, your aunt and uncle,
Ashley and Jay, they were the ones that they helped me a lot.
Really?
I remember studying so hard, and I remember they were like, look, stop studying and going all this crazy. Just practice. And that was in that moment I was like, you know what? I'm going to start watching more movies from now on. And
But they also sent you that book.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Oh, yes.
That you still have.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's got chicken scratch all over it. It's got notes and errors and corrections.
It was a journey for me, because back then we didn't have phones, internet, and it was that I used all my time just reading, learning everything about the language, Wow. So every time you came down to the Dominican Republic,
we were so impressed.
I mean, I had to work hard just to impress y'all,
Yeah.
And that was my goal every time, just to impress you, and that, and I don't know.
Well, what was cool too is it wasn't only impressive; it was incredibly helpful because you were the only one out of all the kids that could speak English, so we'd be like, Luis, come help, Luis, come help. And then, Macy ended up marrying Jackson, who could kind of understand, so he would translate, and we would have a translator sometimes, but that was so helpful to everyone. And I think that's what's so cool about, like, the gifts that everyone has, and even the hard work you put into something, because then it's a gift to everyone else, I think so many times we look at things in, like, a selfish way of, like, I just want to learn, which is fine, but, like, you gifted the whole orphanage, and you know English so that we all could build further relationships. And I don't know that had you not learned English, we would all be as close as we are now, because now we get to talk to you, We had fun. It was a great time, but then it was like to start to hear the things that were coming out of you of what your story was and what things meant to you and the perspective you had. Like, we were like, wow, like we never even knew. So that was so cool. So y'all are like getting to know each other. Y'all are FaceTiming. Y'all are talking, and you're still learning English.
Still learning.
Okay, so Brittany, what were you thinking about Luis at the time? When I think about some of my favorite Bible verses, it's really hard to choose from, but some of those verses, maybe they haven't been my favorite forever, but just at that time, it meant so much to me. And that is why spreading the word of God and spreading the Bible is so important to me. And that is why I want to tell you about our partners Cru. Our partners at Cru are sharing Jesus through their missionaries all over the world, and they are watching Jesus do so much in literally countries all over the world, which is so amazing. But there are a lot of Christians out there who don't have the incredible benefit of literally having their own Bible in their own language language, and that is where we can come in to help. For only $24 a month, you can provide 3 people with Bibles each and every month. When you sign up to provide 3 Bibles with a monthly gift of $24, as a thank you, Cru will provide meals to 12 hungry people through their humanitarian aid ministry. Plus, you'll actually receive a free copy of Christian and I's new book, How to Put Love First, which if you haven't heard of that, it's a 90-day devotional book about putting God first in your life. I know you guys are going to love it. Lots of you have already signed up to give, and I just want to say a huge thank you to the Whoa, That's Good fam. Y'all are amazing. Y'all are seriously the best, but let's continue to do more work to help Cru because there are so many people who need the Word of God, and you can help do that. So simply text GOOD to 71326 to help today. Just imagine how much this monthly gift could truly change someone's life. So text GOOD to 71326, that's GOOD, GOOD, to 71326 to help now, or visit give.cru.org/good. Message and data rates may apply, available to U.S. addresses only.
I wasn't in the market, so I was just not, I wouldn't say that I was interested right at the beginning because it meant a lot of change for my life if that were the road I was going down.
Go there.
No, because it's just complicated. It's just too much. And I was comfortable where I was at. So I really leveraged him and got the stirring again that I really wanted to move to the DR when we met. Spend some time there, really come alongside the church we were working with. And, it was my place. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be invested. And so really leveraged him because I didn't speak Spanish really great at the time either. So I could leverage him to really try to make some moves, to find an apartment, to do some of those things that I wasn't able to do before. So that's really why we stayed in touch. And it just developed after that. Yeah.
Y'all are kind of talking. You end up getting to the DR. When was it that y'all were like, okay, we actually really like each other?
So for me, when I got there in 2017, toward the end of 2017, the work that I had got there to do didn't pan out the way that I thought it would. It didn't come to fruition the way that I had dreamt it up.
Wow.
And so I found myself living in the DR alone, not speaking great Spanish, in a hotel with no way to wash my clothes, no kitchen to cook in, a little bit of a stressful situation.
And not just a little bit. Were you scared?
I wasn't scared because at the end of the day, it still is my home, but it was getting expensive. I was washing my clothes in a tiny bathroom sink. There's no real... A lot of things are different in the DR. There's not traditional laundry detergent. There's not a traditional washing machine. It's very different. And so I was finding it difficult to learn how to do those things without somebody to explain it to me.
Which, by the way, just to credit, that's a huge move. It's scary to move to Nashville and they have a washer and a dryer. You know what I'm saying? It's incredibly hard to move to another country where everything's different, which we'll circle back to the fact that now y'all moved back here and all the differences. But that would be so hard. So I'm sure Luis was kind of helping you at the time adjust.
Yeah, so that's really where he came in, is helping me adjust. And so he was actually living and working at the children's home at this time. And so he was like, just come over to the children's home, and my mom, the woman who takes care of him, my mom will help you out. My mom will help you with the laundry, and there are some girls who live there, they can teach you. And so I went, and they truly just welcomed me in with open arms, and I felt immediately like I was family there. So I ended up not abandoning, but kind of shifting away from the mission that I had gone with, really finding myself in that relationship and in that work. And his family really took me in. So by the time that I had moved into my apartment, we figured that out, got myself settled, I was feeling like I love to be in the children's home. I love what it stands for. I love the kids here. And so I found myself there basically every afternoon, tutoring the kids, teaching them English, just spending time with them while he was at work, or while the other kids were doing projects. I would help them with their school projects. And really just in that time, it became apparent that this was something worth pursuing.
Yeah. Well, it's so cool because that speaks to so many different levels of things. I think so many people want to have everything figured out before they make the move they're going to make. But that's just not, I don't even think that's how God works. Like, I don't think he gives you everything and then says, go. I think, he provides for you along the way as you take the next step. And I think that, like, that's a great example of showing up somewhere and honestly being a little disappointed by what you were met with. And I think a lot of people, like, in that disappointment move back. They go, well, this wasn't it. This didn't work out. I've heard it said before, Mike Todd preached this message on being planted and not buried. And he talks about how, like, when you plant a seed in the ground, it's the same thing that happens when you die, right? Because you bury something. But he said, and the same place where death normally occurs is actually where destiny begins, because it's in that place that looks like death that something begins to grow, roots begin to grow, and then all of a sudden the fruit that comes from it is just amazing. The tree that's planted is amazing. And that's like the beauty of commitment to something. And I think it's in that place when the seed's in the ground, when it looks like death, that most people tap out and they say, I'm going back home. This wasn't it. But if you stick with it and just stay, keep watering that ground, man, you just don't know what the plan really was. You just don't really know what God was really doing with that. And you might have missed out on what was right around the corner, which was your future husband, the real mission you were there for, which was like the love and the relationships you built with those people. Now you have a son, you're here. Just like incredible destiny that was literally waiting on the other side of just a little bit more commitment and time. And so I think that's a message for everyone listening. You don't have to move to the Dominican Republic to feel like you're in a place of disappointment with what you thought the plan was going to be not shaping out to be what you thought it was going to be. And just knowing that it might not be what you thought, but it might be better. Honestly, this is so much better than probably what you thought. Okay, so things are starting to get obvious that you guys are, liking each other. Luis, when did you make the move? When were you like, hey, you're the one, my girl?
I remember we went on this trip to Verona. You remember Verona, right?
Yeah.
And we were like just walking around the ocean, and all that. And the day before, I was like, look, I struggle my whole life trying to find a girlfriend and seeing all my friends having girlfriends, and I was like left out, But she came around, and as I said before, it felt comfortable with her, being around her, I was like, look, I want to spend my whole life with her, and I feel that I just want her to be my one forever, And I thought, and those kids, they would be beautiful.
Hey.
So that's when I was like, the kids, they will be cute. So let me just make the move right here. So I proposed to her like in front of the ocean, Verona. It was, not cameras, nothing, just me and her, And that's when we decided to spend our lifetime together.
It's perfect. It's so cute. And your kid is super cute, BCW. He's a little model. Thank you. He's so cute. His little hair. And he always has his hair sharp. Y'all keep it looking good.
Thanks to his dad.
Thank you to his dad,
Y'all keep it looking good, for real. Well, I love y'all's story. It's so incredible. Just a second, Brittany, you have to talk about the fact of having a baby in the DR. Like, what was that like?
So it's not at all like in America. But it isn't all bad either. So it's just very different. The healthcare in the DR is actually free. So you can go to the public hospitals and get care that you need, and you pay for your prescriptions or whatever else. But they also have private clinics, some really good private clinics. But where we were living, where Luis is from, is not near the big cities. It's out there. It's closer to the Haitian border. It's in the mountains. It's a city, but it's small. And they actually had just built a new public hospital a couple of years before I moved there. And so it was clean and nice and new. So when we decided that we were going to start a family, or that we wanted to start a family, I said, I could do this. It's not that bad. It's clean. Because we actually had gone to the old hospital when I was living there the first time. We got in a motorcycle accident. So we went to the hospital. Like, thankfully, we were all right.
Yeah.
The man we hit took off.
Which in Dominican, like, everybody's
on a motorcycle.
So that's, like, very normal.
Very normal. And no helmets. Like, the whole deal is very
there
crazy and chaotic.
There will be, like, a whole family on one motorcycle.
Five people in one motorcycle. Yeah, fine.
And not even, like, big motorcycles that you see here. Like, little motorcycles.
Little
like,
ones.
5 people on it.
Yeah. So we got in the accident. We went to the hospital. And I had, like, some road rash.
Yeah.
But to clean it, the woman picked a razor blade up off the floor and cut my jeans open. And then she took an old soda bottle that had, like, a soap mixture in it with a hole in the top and, like, squirted it on me and started, like, cleaning off my wounds. And I was like,
you're like, oh, no.
I'm just going to take care of this at home. I'm good. Like, this is good. So actually that was the first time I was living there. His family had taught me to do the laundry and all that stuff. And they actually cleaned my wounds and, like, took care of me that night. It wasn't that bad. But when we decided to have a family, I was like, that hospital would be a definite no.
Yeah, that's good.
But now they have a nice new hospital and, like,
that's nice.
A little bit more order to the chaos that existed previously. So we actually did all of my prenatal appointments at the clinic, the private clinic, but the doctor at the clinic is the same doctor at the hospital, and the clinic is older. So I went to see the doctor at the clinic, but gave birth in the hospital. And so when we got to the hospital, like, my water broke. My family's not there.
Yeah.
Right? So I am flying solo. His family is there, but also, like,
it's different.
Yeah, it's just different. And so when
he wasn't allowed.
Yeah,
so was not allowed.
We didn't know that.
Oh my gosh.
At the time. So they had told me that nobody else could be there, but I thought my husband could be there.
Yeah.
So we got there, and they were like, "Hi, what are you here for?"
Hello.
I'm here to have a baby. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
So they took me back, and they said, "Okay, well, put on your birthing gown." And I said, "Where is it?" They're like, "You didn't bring one?" I'm like, "No, I didn't bring one."
Oh my gosh.
So Luis left the hospital, drove home, got me clothes to wear to give birth in, and then it was chaos. So he got me the clothes to give birth in, came back to the hospital.
Is that a thing? Like, does everybody in Dominican know that you bring your
your own everything? You bring your own clothing, you bring your own diapers, you bring your own.
It's a free hospital.
But you didn't know.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So I got there. He left to go get me those things. Came back, and I was in the, like, there's like a stage before the delivery room where they kept you. And I was like, I'm about to have this baby. Just trying to explain to the nurse, like, I'm about to have this baby. And she's like, you're fine. Just relax.
In Spanish, too.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm just like, this baby is coming. And she's like, you're fine. Just relax. And then she came and she checked me and she was like, this baby is coming. Let's go.
Oh, my God.
They put me in a wheelchair. They raised me to the back. And at this point is when they said, he can't be here anymore. And so I started to panic a little bit. Like, I speak Spanish, but in moments of anxiety or fear, like, it may leave me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know what to do. Thankfully, his best friend growing up and his wife, she's a doctor.
Oh, wow.
So we had called them when my water broke anyway, and she actually was on her way to the hospital, and they actually let her scrub in.
That's awesome.
And so I was in the back about to give birth, and I said to my doctor, I said, I can't do it. I cannot do this. You are going to have to cut this baby out of me. Like, I cannot do it because in the DR, they also don't do any medications. So you're going in all natural, no choice.
Oh my gosh. Forget a birth plan. There is no plan.
There is no plan. This is going the most natural way possible. And so I told her, I can't do it. You're going to have to cut this baby out of me. And, I'm panicked. But then I heard our friend's voice, and she said, you can do this.
Wow.
And so she was there with me. I don't think I opened my eyes once the whole time I was in the delivery room.
Wow.
And everything happened so fast. It was 30 minutes from arrival to delivery.
Wow. All right, let's talk about something that our family definitely appreciates. That's Liberty University. Liberty has been training champions for Christ for over 50 years, and it's made a huge impact on my family. Actually, right now, as I'm recording this, my family is at Liberty's graduation for my sister Bella graduating. So we're very grateful for Liberty and what it's poured into our family's life. Not just Bella, but actually several of my siblings, including myself, for just one semester, but hey, one semester counts. Liberty has been so great for our family, and I bet it will be great for yours too. With over 700 residential and online degrees to choose from, you'll definitely find one that will be perfect for your passion and making that passion into a career. Plus, Liberty offers lots of scholarships and discounts, so you can follow your dreams at a price that's affordable. You're going to want to see for yourself what Liberty University is all about by visiting their campus in Lynchburg, Virginia. If you haven't ever been, it is absolutely gorgeous. They have tons of opportunities to visit, including one-day tours like Tour LU and Experience LU, or College for a Weekend, where high school students can spend 3 days living the life of a Liberty student. I highly recommend that. If you're looking for an awesome homeschool option, that's actually what Bella did. Bella did Liberty University Online Academy through high school, and that is an accredited online K-12 Christian homeschool program that Bella loved. She loved her experience at LUOA, and it would be a great fit for your family too. LUOA offers a flexible Bible-based education that's self-paced and taught by certified teachers, and with a 24/7 access and support, it's homeschooling that you can trust. So friend, go to liberty.edu/Sadie to plan your trip today, or to learn more about the many educational options available to you and your family. And because you're a Well That's Good podcast listener, you'll actually get your application fee waived. So don't wait. Go to liberty.edu/Sadie now and get started on your future today. Oh my gosh. It's amazing, like, the power of a friend and, like, the comfort of a friend.
It's amazing.
And how that, like, eased your mind. But you're so laid back. Like, you're so chill. I'm, like, not a chill person, as you guys know, hence the expressiveness. Like, you're so casual about how intimidating that experience would be to be in a country that is not the country you're from, to not have your family there, to be speaking a different language, to be in labor, and then, like, them tell you when you get there you don't have the right gown. If they told me I don't have a gown, I would be sweating. I would be like, oh my gosh, panic sinks in. And then it's like your husband can't be there, and you can't even think of the words to tell them that he needs to be there. Like, that's a really intimidating thing. Like, that's a scary thing. But not to mention, moving to the DR is a scary thing. Living in a hotel is a scary thing. Like, you're so relaxed about it. But can you speak into a little bit about, because both of you can speak to this, and we're going to get to your story on this in a second. Speak to just, like, God's provision and not a financial. I think so many times when you think, like, provision, you think, like, financial blessing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, provision of, like, peace. Like, did you feel that in those moments? How did you, like, get through those incredibly intimidating things? And did you feel that God was with you? Like, honestly. And if you didn't, that's fine, too.
I knew, especially around my pregnancy and the birth of our son, I knew that God was with me. And I knew that he would have to be in order for us to make it through. If he wanted all of this to come to fruition, which I truly feel he did, like, God has orchestrated so many things in my personal life and in Luis's personal life separately to bring us to this moment, that it had to be of God. Like, this was the plan. And we chose specifically to give birth in the town we're from. We could have gone to the big city where there are hospitals and medication and those options, but we wanted to be home.
Yeah.
And so we knew when we made those choices that meant being at peace. Like, you can't panic in that moment. You can't change your mind because the city is 4 hours away.
Yeah. You've decided.
Yeah. So when we made the decision, we were at peace with the decision. And so in that moment, I think you find yourself a lot more courageous.
Gosh, that's good. Yeah, that's so good. Because people so often, they want the peace to be when they get to the delivery room, but that's not when you start searching for peace. Like, it's before. And that's the thing where, like, they want it to be when you get to the DR. But if you wait for it to be when you get there, and then you're in the times where it's not going to be peaceful, because transition's not peaceful. Transition's awkward, you know, transition's hard. But that doesn't mean you don't have, like, an anchoring in your soul to know that you're in the right place at the right time. And that comes before, you know, like, it's not waiting for you to get there when everything's figured out. it's a decision you make prior to say, like, God is with me, you know, and if God is for me, who can be against me?
That's right.
And I'm stepping in. And then when you feel the lack of peace, and not the chaos, because the chaos is there, but the peace leave when you go, I'm not supposed to be here. Then you figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, you know when it's time. But just because it's chaotic doesn't mean it's not. I mean, think about labor. Like, when you're at a 10, it ain't peaceful. Transition's hard. Transition's rough. But that doesn't mean that that's not where it's supposed to be, because that's when the baby comes.
Yeah.
And actually, I've heard it said, because I had actually planned to go natural with honey. I did not. I tapped out. I did have the access to the epidural, and I said, hit me with that thing. I changed my plan. I'm pressing the button, whatever I got to do. But I say that, you know, I was in a place where I could, but I've heard it said that it's when the woman says, I can't do this, that it's almost always right after that she has the baby. Because you have a moment where it feels physically impossible.
Yes.
It's the worst pain you're going to go through. But then it's the next moment that the baby comes. And that is so the picture of life, you know? It's like, there's going to be the moments where you say, I can't do this. And it's normally the right after moment where you see why, you know? And so, Luis, in your own way, you had incredibly hard challenges to face, because there were probably a lot of times where you never thought you would ever live in Louisiana.
Nope.
And you strongly had a desire to, but that was in the world's eye impossible for you to do.
Impossible, yep.
Speak a little bit to why.
Well, it all goes back to me still living in the orphanage. I remember after I finished high school, I wanted to pursue a career in college, you know, with my friends. Like, that was our goal, you know. But then I discovered that I didn't have a birth certificate in the Dominican Republic. That's pretty hard, because you can't do anything. You can't go to college. You can't get a job. You can't get a bank account. You can't do anything. You're just like a ghost walking around, you know. And when I met Brittany, I told her my whole story, and I told her where I come from and what I'm struggling with. And I think also something that I was like, she's the perfect one, you know, because she was willing to move to the Dominican Republic and stay there with me, stuck in the Dominican Republic. And it didn't matter to her to give up all her advantages here in America, you know. And that was something I was like, thank you, God, for putting her in my path, you know. So I was struggling to get my birth certificate. I called my actual parents, and I asked them, like, why I don't have a birth certificate. And they told me they just didn't have the time to give me a birth certificate. And that's when it hurt me a lot, you know. I was grateful for them to bring me to this orphanage when I was little, but I felt really hurt when they told me they didn't get me a birth certificate, you know. So in that moment also, I felt God telling me, look, you can work, you can do this. Just work hard for it, and you can make it. But the process was hard. The process, the waiting was pretty difficult.
It's long.
It was long. I had to get all these people together. I had to get my parents together to sign up all these documents in order for me to start the process.
Yeah.
You know? And one thing that I will always be grateful for you and your family, y'all always stayed with me. You guys were like always praying for me. And every year you came down to the Dominican Republic, you would ask me, hey, Luis, what's going on? Give me an update with your paperwork. And I would always tell you, well, we're still waiting, you know. And it was hard. Waiting was hard, you know. We're talking about 7 years waiting for me to get my birth certificate, you know. And now being here, it feels mind-blowing, you know, because with all the prayers and waiting on God, you just feel like everything works perfect on His timing, you know.
Yeah.
I remember during the process, I used to be so desperate, like, and I would question God, like, look, I have a relationship with you, you know, and I compare my life with my friends, like, they don't have a relationship with you, and still they have something that I really want.
Wow.
And in those moments of desperation and just not trusting God, that's when everything started to be like, all right, you really want your blessings? I'm going to give you your blessings. And then everything started working out perfectly for me, you know. I remember one day I went to my room, I locked everything, and I was like, all right, we need to talk, God. Let's do this, because I can't do this anymore. I want to have a life. I want to get married. I want to have kids. And if I have kids, I don't want to put them through that situation, you know. And next day, everything worked like so fast. I can't even explain the way God worked that day for me.
Do you remember, I don't know if you remember this, because I've never brought this up again, and I don't even remember when you called my mom one day and you told her, do you remember, like, you were praying for like a meal? Do you remember this? And there was like a lunch or something.
Yeah, I remember.
What was that?
We had, normally on December, we have this huge meal at home, and we were just praying about the lunch and, like, please give it to people who need it and all that. And I remember your mom calling us, and that was special for us, you know. And I remember there, I told her that, first she asked me about how my paperwork was going, and I told her, look, I'm still waiting on God's timing, you know, and that's something I can't force. So I'm just gonna let Him do His work, and I'm not gonna get in the middle of it. And everything worked out perfectly.
But in the waiting, because I just remember specific things like that. I remember, like, call my mom and tell, like, updates, and it wouldn't be the update that we wanted. It wouldn't be your paperwork, but it would be like some small answer to prayer that always kept you going. But also, like, you say you can't force it, and you can't force it, but you were, like, actively showing up. What did that look like to get your paperwork? Because you were